Students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an awesome week so far. Welcome Pluto, hi Fateme, Ozodbek, Adnan. Good to see so many students in the class. Everybody, this is an IELTS listening class. We are going to be listening to part 3 and part 4 of an IELTS listening section on the topic of writing books, on the topic of art, and the history of roads. This IELTS lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there for the general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites. They house our materials. They power these classes. We have 6 full practice exams on these websites. This is aehelp.com here. You can click that big red button just beside my head to join the premium version of this IELTS course. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. We help thousands of students every single day to improve their English and pass the IELTS. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. Everybody, you will see her in blue. She's here to help. You can ask her questions. And I bet a lot of our premium members here will also answer some questions gladly. Hi Anna, hi Single and Savvy, good to see you. General IELTS, everybody, is gieltshelp.com. It's with the green background. And again, just click that big red button, spend $30–40 US and save yourself a lot of headache and trouble so that you know what to do for your next IELTS exam. Use the code DISH9. For a 10% discount. I am Canadian, if you're wondering, everybody. I live on the West Coast, on Vancouver Island, close to Vancouver, close to Seattle, north of Los Angeles, Oregon, state of Washington. I speak a West Coast North American English. It's a clean, crisp accent. I encourage you to speak, copy, and repeat what I say and how I say it. Premium students, those of you who are members on the websites, I sent you your link for your extra 2 lessons this week. Everybody, the schedule looks like this. We've got listening right now. As I said, part 3 and 4. Tomorrow we have speaking. On Thursday we have reading for our premium students through Zoom. And then we have speaking practice through Zoom for our premium website members. If you ever have questions, students, outside of this class, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Either one of those will work. Usually we take about 24 to 48 hours to get back to you on those. All right, everybody, let's get into some listening. So what we'll do is we'll just listen, and I will give you some listening tips as we go through the answers at the end. So students, the goal here is to kind of replicate the actual IELTS exam. We did part 1 and part 2 last week. And so this week we're doing part 3, part 4. For those of you who have access to the websites, this is CD6 track 3. Okay. Listen, answer. You will only hear the audio once, just like in the real IELTS exam. And then we'll go through the answers together. If you have a headset, use it. Okay. And you're going to see me kind of move through the questions strategically, and you will see me also take a couple of steps to help figure out the answers while we're listening. So I'm going back to the website for this, into my student account. In the My Student account, I've got my audio CDs. I'm going to CD6. And in CD6, this is going to be track 3. Here we go, everyone.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will begin.
This one.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
Okay, so I'm paraphrasing this as a statement.
Listening, section 3. You will hear a radio host and his guest discussing the virtues of various art forms. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is the curator of a major art gallery in the city who has just released his second book on the virtues of art. We're pleased to have Mr. Edgar Patterson here today. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, and please call me Edgar.
Edgar, of course. Now, in your first book, published 4 years ago, you focused on performance artwork such as plays, musical concerts, films, and other such works. Your second book is a little closer to home for you. It concerns purely creative fine art.
Well, yes. It deals with the aesthetic virtue of different painting styles.
Okay, so give our viewers a quick rundown on what your book is about. Does it make an argument? I mean, does your book take a position on a certain issue in the world of art?
Yes. My book does take a position, and a rather radical one. The main thesis of my book is that the meaning we associate with a painting exists purely within ourselves. This is in stark contrast to many commentators who believe that the author of a painting gives the painting its meaning. Under this framework, if an artist intends his painting to represent the fear of an orphan child, then this is the one and only meaning such a painting can have. We might call this the intention theory of art. Conversely, my theory is that no matter what the intention of the author is, the meaning of the painting comes from the viewer. The meaning is exactly what the viewer thinks it is. This solves an important problem with the intention theory of art, namely that we do not have access to the mind of the artist, and therefore we do not have access to the painting's meaning at all.
Very interesting, Edgar. But doesn't the intention theory work as a sort of grounding for artistic analysis? What I mean is, while we might not know the meaning the artist intended, isn't the point of art to try to discern this meaning? If art is just whatever we want it to be or feel it as, doesn't that somehow make it less valuable?
That's an astute critique of my position, but one I have an answer for. My response is that art is not merely what we want it to be or feel it as. We can still participate in our critique and interpretation. All I want to say is, in the end, it is up to us to discern the meaning and value of paintings on our own.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Now, let's talk about one type of controversial art, abstract art. How does your, can I call it a subjective theory of meaning?
Yes, that is fair.
Okay. How does your subjective theory of meaning apply to something like modern or abstract art? Art which doesn't tell an obvious story or have a clear meaning. Many people think that such works of art have no meaning at all.
It's certainly an interesting case, but one which my theory is well matched to deal with. You see, abstract art has its critics. Like you say, they think it has no meaning at all. However, other people think abstract works of art have all sorts of meanings. Now, under the intention theory, most of these commentators will be wrong, since the work of art either has a meaning or it doesn't, and if it does, then it only has a single meaning. So under the intention theory, only those critics who discern the specific meaning of the artist will be successful. My theory, however, results in each critic being correct in their own way. For example, if, after critically analysing a certain abstract work of art, I determine it is meaningless, then it is meaningless. Because the meaning of an artwork comes from within, I cannot be wrong, and neither can other people. The critic who sees a metaphor for suffering and the critic who views it as something entirely different are both right. We are all correct in our interpretation, as long as we've given the painting a fair critique.
What do you mean by a fair critique?
Well, I mean it is not enough to merely look at a painting and write it off immediately as meaningless. One must go through a certain process. That said, there are certainly other...
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, and in that half minute, check your answers, because with good thinking, you can actually get answers that you may have missed. A lot of these questions are very logical, so as long as you understand, and even if you're thinking, well, that was difficult, I didn't understand everything they were talking about, it's okay. As long as you understand the questions and what the questions say, you can still answer a lot of these questions. That's not the whole story. Okay, so a couple of tips here as we get into these answers. Okay, so first of all, IELTS is not just an English test. Nobody said that. Okay, people often get that wrong. Okay, so IELTS is a proficiency test and thinking exam. Okay, that's why there's two versions. They have an academic version and a general version. If IELTS is just an English test, why have two versions, right? Okay. Makes sense, everybody? Yeah? Especially if you're taking the academic. So IELTS is testing for your thinking, it's testing for your proficiency, your ability to think and communicate well in English. Okay? Okay? That's what it's doing. A university in, say, California doesn't know what your school system is in your country. They don't know what kind of thinking it teaches, what kind of logic it teaches. They don't know what kind of logic you learned in your life, what kind of critical thinking. So they use the IELTS exam as part of that testing procedure. Okay? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. All right. So let me just get a little further away. There we go. My head's taking up all that space. All right. Okay, so far that makes sense. All right, so you need logic. And I'm going to show you how, okay, when we get into these questions here. So this is section 3, okay, and here you have the original question. How many books has the guest written? Okay, we'll do part 4 here in just a moment. Now, yes, the IELTS exam can be this difficult, and yes, they have these kinds of strange topics. Those of you who have taken the IELTS exam know this. This is a topic that's testing basically how well can a student do in like an art history class, okay? So here's a multiple choice question. The multiple choice question is how many books has the guest written, okay? Now, most likely in the audio, they're not going to say, like, how many books have you written? Oh, I wrote 2 books. Great, that's really easy. This is part 3. It's not part 3 level English, okay? That would be like a part 1 level English. So they're not going to ask the question like that. What they're going to do is they're going to say it in a different way. And they actually give you the answer twice. So the host once says, that you've written 2 books, and then she says the first book is about performance arts, and then the second book is about fine arts, something like that, right? So the answer is given twice. So one of the tips for multiple choice, everybody, is paraphrase the question into a statement. That you would likely hear. Okay, does that make sense? So that's what I did here. Okay, so basically here I took the question and I turned it into something that I believe I could hear. Like, I have written 2 books. Okay, we didn't hear that. The woman actually said, so you wrote 2 books. The first one is about this, the second one is about this, and then I took a little bit more notes there. So the answer was B, right? 2. And I did that paraphrasing for all these questions. The next question was, what description does the guest give his book's thesis? Thesis means like argument, right? And I figured, well, he'd say, my book does have a something point of view, right? So what was it? Was it a position? Was it a radical thesis or the intention theory thesis? Number 22. Shaheen says that was a B. I think he said it was a radical thesis. Anna says, I believe it was also that. Enjoy in all things says B as well. Yeah, and he does. He say it's a rather radical position, right? Fatime agrees. Good. Yeah. Okay, number 23. Which statement best describes the intention theory of art? Now, some of you might be going, well, I'm not an artist. I'm not into art. I don't care about this. It doesn't matter. IELTS doesn't care about what you care about. It's testing your English proficiency, right? They're not going to go interview you to build you a custom exam. Then you'd have to pay like $5,000 each time. Okay, so you have to use logic. And here's a good example of that. Intention, what does that mean? So let me do this on our worksheet. Okay, so intention, what does that mean, to intend? What is the meaning of intend? That's very, very important for this, right? There was basically 2 types of approaches to evaluating art: intention and subjective meaning or subjective theory, something like that. Okay, so what is intention? Fatima says the thought behind something. Yeah. There's a simpler way to say that. To do on. Yeah, purpose. Segareta, yeah, planned. Planned and purposeful. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Done with will. Thought out. Subjective means based on opinion, right? Okay. So if we understand these 2 words, intention, and they're kind of described by the audio, and subjective, then you'll be okay. So here, which statement best describes the intention theory of art? A, the author creates an artwork's meaning. B, the meaning comes from the viewer. C, there is no meaning outside of the viewer's intention. So usually one answer is quite silly. In this case, C, right? So it's either A or B. Intention theory, is that coming from the viewer or is that coming from the author, the person creating the artwork? Okay. Where is that coming from? Sagaretta says it comes from the author. S says A, Nimitz says A. Yeah. So the intention theory says that the meaning comes from the author. The meaning comes from the artist, the person creating the art. Okay. As long as you've got that, you got this part 3 pretty good. Okay. So here, the correct answer is A. The author creates an artwork's meaning. Absolutely. It's the intended meaning of the author. Okay. What's the big, and now you can kind of figure a lot of these questions, sorry, a lot of these questions out. What is the biggest problem with the intention theory? So if the artist is creating the meaning of the art, what's the biggest issue with it? Now, if you're doing a good job in multiple choice, everybody, you should be able to give the answer without seeing the question. So you should be able to answer these questions. Instead of the letter, give me the sentence. What's the biggest issue with the intention theory of art? One really good tip, everybody, for your IELTS or preparing for your IELTS is work in partners. Okay, this is an exercise. Work in partners and talk through, just like what we're doing right now, the listening section. Okay. Ariadna says you do not have access to the author. Exactly, Ariadna. Thumbs up. There you go. Thank you, Ariadna. I'm going to give you my thumb right there. Boom. That's for Ariadna. There's another one for Single and Savvy. Boom. Yeah, Single and Savvy says we don't know the mind of the artist, or only the artist knows his intention. The only way is if you can call him up. Hey, John, I'm looking at your painting. It's squiggly lines. What is that? And John goes, oh, you're looking at my painting of my toenails. Oh, okay. So... All right. Furry Boris says, I can't read your intricate mind, fellas. All right. Furry Boris. Good. So the correct answer then here, for sure, is we do not have access to the mind of the artist. We don't know what the artist is thinking, right? That's the biggest problem. And again, for those of you who have access to the website, you can go back and you can always listen to that. So I think it's...
now turn to section 3.
Somewhere around here.
The intention theory of art, namely that we do not have access to the mind of the artist, and therefore we do not have access to the painting's meaning at all. The meaning is exactly what the viewer thinks it is. This solves an important problem with the intention theory of art, namely that we do not have access to the mind of the artist, and therefore we do not have access to the painting's meaning at all.
Very interesting, Edgar.
There you go. I played it twice for you. This is one good reason also, students, to have that premium access, so you can go back, check this audio. For those of you who are wondering where this is, where is that coming from? It's aehelp.com. And again, it's worth spending that $30-$40. You get like more than 200 videos, 6 full practice exams, and all this help and all these great lessons, including the premium lessons on Thursdays and Fridays. All right. So, having said that, question number 25. According to the host, one of the main goals in art critique is to understand a painting's something, and the intention theory seems best equipped for this task. This was simple. And the host just said this. The host says, well, isn't like the main goal to understand the painting's something? Akshar says, oh, I think I'm failing. Now, just remember, everybody, this is part 3. Some students say part 3 is the most challenging. Some people say it's even more difficult than part 4. Ariadna says it's meaning. Yep. And don't forget, students, you're being tested whether or not you can study at the master's or doctorate level in English, right? So it's important. You have to reach this level, and you can. Logic is great. Okay. All right. A lot of you get it. So if you look at your classmates, you can see, yeah, my classmates are getting this. Ariadna got it. Single and Savvy got it. Nimit got it. Ugulhan understood it. Joel said it. Okay. I think enjoy in all things is jumping a little bit ahead to 26. Yeah. Okay. So the guest responds that art is not something what we want it to be, but that we must also participate in critique and interpretation. Yeah, you don't just look at art and say, oh, it's all about the artist, but it's not merely what we want it to be. And now this is just catching these words, right? Okay, so these ones were relatively simple. Okay, so then we go to this table here for 27, 28, and 29. Now here, for table type questions, really pay attention to the category headings. The situation, the intention theory. That's why, remember I wrote artist? Let me see that, yeah. The artist. So this is the artist. The artist intends the meaning. It's like, okay, that's what the artist wants it to say. And then the subjective meaning theory, right? So that's the viewer. Okay, so you have the artist, you have the viewer. It's kind of like a versus. Okay. And the viewer has one opinion, the artist has another opinion. So how does it work? Well, here's the situation. The critic thinks critically, and this is where you have to be able to listen, use your logic, and answer the questions. Now you realize that it's either critic is right or the critic is wrong. There's really right and wrong here. So you're using either the right or wrong. So you don't have to, you know, if you're having trouble, the worst case scenario is just guess. You have a 50-50. Okay, you don't lose marks for guessing. Okay. So, a critic thinks critically about an artwork and judges it to have no meaning. Okay, intention theory, the critic is wrong, because in the intention theory, it states that the artist gives the art meaning. So the critic can think critically all they want and judge it to have no meaning. According to the intention theory, the art's meaning is given by the artist. So here, the correct answer, of course, is wrong. Okay? According to the subjective theory, the critic is right. Okay. Now the next one. A critic does not think critically about an artwork and judges it to have no meaning. Okay. So according to the intention theory, the critic is wrong. According to the subjective meaning theory, 28, the critic is wrong again. Why? Because the critic does not think critically about the artwork. So 28 is wrong. Wrong and wrong. Why? Remember what the author of the book says? The author of the book says that for the subjective meaning theory, the viewer has to think critically. So they have to think, what is this? Why is the artist doing this? How are they presenting this information? And only then can they judge it to be meaningless or meaningful. All right, the critic understands the author's meaning. I guess like if the author drew a stick man, that's happy because the stick man just passed IELTS. And the critic says, I think that the author just drew a stick man. That's happy because it passed the IELTS. Then guess what? The critic is right. So if you use logic and you understand the questions, you can basically understand these just by listening. Okay. Now make sure you're writing wrong, wrong, and right, not correct. Iadeji, if you write correct, they can mark you wrong, because here it says complete the table. Answer right or wrong for each question. Make sure you're paying attention to the instructions. Okay, Iadeji? All right, so don't write. I know it's like, oh, they should correct and write are the same, but I'd give it to you if I'm your examiner, but not everybody does. Okay, so be careful. Okay, this was an inference type question, question 30, and it says an art critic is viewing a painting for the first time and wants to critique it using the subjective meaning theory, of course. Determine whether the critic has satisfied the constraints of the theory with regard to his critique of the painting. A, the critic has satisfied the demands of the theory. B, the critic has not satisfied. Now we know that in the subjective meaning theory, the critic has to look at the painting, think about it, and say, okay, it has meaning, or it's kind of just a nothing. So let's take a look. The critic looks at the painting for a moment and concludes from his initial impression that the painting lacks aesthetic value. Initial means first impression or first look, and looks for just a moment. Does that satisfy the subjective meaning theory? No. So it's B. So the correct answer is B. Why? Because the viewer has to look at the painting carefully, according to this theory, right? So the correct answer is B. All right, students, how did you do? What did you get out of 10? Now, in a perfect world for part 3, you should be aiming for at least 6 or more. I know it's one of the more difficult sections. Single and Savvy, 7's good. Okay, 7's good. Oxford, if you got 10 out of 8, that's impossible. But 8 out of 10 would be pretty good. Nimit, 7's not bad. Shaheen, 6 is okay. Yeah. Anna, 5, just under. Okay, see what happened. Check into it. It's not bad. Furry Boars, a sacred 8. Okay. All right, and in that spirit, everybody, let's continue on. Let's push forward and let's do part 4. Now, sometimes people find part 4 a little bit easier because it's more of a monologue. It's not multiple people talking. It's not a discussion. However, there's no break. You just get the whole 10 questions all in one go, right? And usually it's an academic topic, so you'll see that in this case it's the same. Let's check it out. So we go back to our premium course and we click on part 4. Here we go.
Now turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening section 4. You will hear a lecture about road infrastructure and its connection to economic prosperity. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Roads have been connected to economic prosperity for millennia. The first roads were thought to have been created by repeated animal grazing and then utilized by humans as ready-made routes for travel between adjacent lands. These roads, evidence for which exists going back 12,000 years, were likely not connected so much to economic prosperity as to survival itself. These roads allowed hunter-gatherers faster access to greater swaths of land. The first paved roads were used in ancient Egypt about 4,500 years ago. Historians theorize that these roads were the first roads used for trade in our history. These roads also would have been used to transport items, such as building supplies. Though rivers were much more practical thoroughfares for the transport of goods, certain goods from certain areas could not be transported by boat, and this necessitated the creation of roads for economic reasons. The Silk Road, though not precisely a road, is one of the most famous trade routes in history. Composed of many types of road, the Silk Road stretched from China and Thailand in the east all the way through the Middle East and terminating in Western Europe. These different routes of the Silk Road brought myriad items from the east to the west, including, of course, silk. This brought economic prosperity to China and surrounding regions for many centuries. The Silk Road was so valuable for commerce that it persisted for over 1500 years. The Roman Empire was the first major manufacturer of a system of roads. At its height, the Roman Empire contained 29 major roads, totaling over 75,000 kilometers. That's enough road to go around the world twice. Notably, this is almost the precise total length of the modern United States interstate highway system. These roads connected the vast lands of the empire and brought an intertwined economic prosperity to the diverse regions of the empire. Furthermore, the roads were used for military transportation, giving the Romans a massive strategic advantage over their less advanced adversaries. Through the Middle Ages, roads continued to be built and used for trade and commerce, though technological advances were virtually non-existent. Though tar-based roads were used briefly in the Arab Empire in the 8th century, this technology would not take off for another millennium. Today, our roads and highways connect our communities, countries, and economies. They are the modern trade routes by which we are all connected to each other. The modern world would not be possible without the vast expanse of road infrastructure. One interesting development in the history of road infrastructure was the advent of underground systems. The first such system, the London Underground, opened in 1863. Such subterranean routes greatly increase the volume of human life that a city can sustain, thus increasing that city's economic output. London would not be a fraction of the economic powerhouse it is today without its underground rail system. The same can be said for virtually every other major economic centre. Underground systems are the next generation of economic generators. While roads move goods which create economic prosperity, underground systems move human capital, which creates further economic prosperity. What is the next great advance in ground transportation? Some futurists have theorized about a system of tubes propelled by air pressure or other means, which would transport individuals vast distances in short times. Such a system could move humans at unprecedented speeds, perhaps with an economic footprint far less than that of subterranean networks. Such tubes could even be built underwater. Imagine such a system connecting New York to London or Tokyo to San Francisco. It would be incredible. Whatever lies ahead for humanity, roads have gotten us to where we are, and they are very likely to play a prominent role in getting us to where we will be next, in one form or another.
That is the end of section 4.
All right.
You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Let's go back to our website here. We'll just stop the audio. Again, use that half a minute. Students, absolutely worth it. For those of you who have access to the website, you've got tons of videos. You've got listening strategy videos there as well. You have a free computer-based practice exam with our partner, Test Glider. You can buy their practice tests too right here for a huge discount, 40% off. You have our computer-based practice exams here. So tons and tons of help there for you. Make sure to visit our website and join that premium version by clicking that big red button. Absolutely worth it. All right, let's take a look here. So here are the questions. Let's go through them. Let's see how you did. What phenomenon created the first roads? 12,000 years ago, it said, for survival. So what phenomenon created the first roads? Segaretta says it was animal grazing. Yeah, absolutely. It was animal grazing. And if for those of you who like hiking, you know exactly what we're talking about. When you're hiking in the forest or in nature, you see those roads that are basically created by animals just walking through the grass and through the forest. They basically create these roads. They stomp them out. So it's two words: animal Grazing. Animal grazing is basically when the animals are walking along and going like deer. And maybe bear, Dewey, I'm not sure, but yeah, bear are grazing. They kind of go all over the place. Deer and herd animals, those bigger animals, they kind of go in a pattern. Horses. Yeah. All right, number 32. Though roads were necessary for the transportation of many goods, what was a much more practical thoroughfare? Thoroughfare is like a travel route for the transport of goods in ancient times, and we still have this as a major transport system. Single and Savvy says it was rivers. People still do it. We still use rivers. We send cargo down rivers. Yeah, it's not a boat, Happy Guy. I mean, you're close. It's not a boat because it's a practical thoroughfare, not the actual device. So it's not a boat, it's the river. So, and it's not river, it's river z, plural. All little letters is okay. It's a common noun, rivers. Okay. Dewey says river systems. Rivers is okay. You can go river systems, I guess, but rivers is okay. If you write river systems, you get it correct. Okay, number 33. Which of these roads total approximately 75,000 kilometers? Number 1, the United States interstate system. 2, the ancient Egyptian road network. 3, the ancient Roman road network. And 4, the Silk Road. Well, listening carefully, everybody. We did not get the distance for the Silk Road, although it sounded very long. We don't know that. The ancient Egyptians, no, but these two, yes and yes. So the correct answer is A. It was 1 and 3. Very good, Nimit. Very good, Mr. Ryan. Very good, Ugulhan. Happy Guy. Nice name. Shaheen, good job. Okay. Now here in this one, when it says choose 2 and it's 34-35, immediately I take notes. It's too much information here. I can't read it at the same time that I'm listening. Maybe you can. I can't. It's too much. So I just write down the answer. I listen to this. What are 2 benefits of the Roman road system? And the presenter clearly says, well, the road systems were driving the economy of the Roman Empire, and it was used for military strategy to conquer other lands. So I got economy as one benefit and military. Now, students, even in the computer-based practice exam, you get a piece of paper to take notes. You have a pen for these kinds of questions. Make sure you're taking notes, okay? Everybody got that? Thumbs up? Can I get a thumbs up? In the chat, like this, like if you understand me, just go yeah. Okay, so use your note paper even in the computer-based exam. Like for multiple choice questions, Pluto's giving me rabbit ears. Mr. Ryan says, didn't get it. All right, well, you didn't get it. And Dewey says, yep, got it. SK says, got it. All right. Okay, so use your notes. It's way easier. I just wrote down economy, military, and then here I'm going, okay, A, economic prosperity. Yeah, that looks good. Right? B, increased mobility of Roman armies. That's military. That looks good. Rapid technological advances. Didn't hear that. The importation of luxury goods from China. That was a Silk Road. Broad economic prosperity for the empire. Oh, wait a second. A, economic prosperity for the city of Rome. No. Economic prosperity for the empire. There we go. City of Rome. Let's not be silly. Okay. So, B and E. Always carefully looking at the answers. B and E. Very nice. Okay, now here we had to match the answers. Applies to ancient roads like the Roman roads or the Silk Road. Applies to the subway system, the metro, the underground. Applies to future transportation, the tube, or the tubes that are air pressurized. Applies to all of them. Okay. Increases economic activity, 36. Well, if I move humans super quickly in the future, am I going to increase economic activity? Sure. If I move people around a subway in a busy city like London, New York, sure. Ancient roads, yeah, we just said that. The Roman roads, right? So the correct answer for 36 is D. All of them. Economy, economics. For those of you who study business economics, you'd probably get that anyway. You'd be like, oh, it's all of them. Okay, 37, responsible for the growth of modern cities. Okay, well, it's not the future, it's not the past, so it has to be B. It's a nice and quick one there for 37, right? Subway systems, growth of modern cities. Subway, underground, fairly new. Used for military transport for the army. Subway system? No. Bad idea. Can you imagine putting soldiers into an underground road system? Wouldn't take a lot of people to end that war. You just blow up the subway. So no. Future transportation? No. Ancient roads? Yeah. Roman military, army, we talked about that. Moves human capital. Okay, did humans move around on ancient roads? Yeah. Do humans move around on the subway? Yeah. Will humans move around on future roads? Yeah. All right. So it's got to be D. Right? D, B, A, D. So far, so good. Dewey. Subways move humans too. Lots and lots of humans get on subways every morning to go to work. Okay, will move humans at unprecedented speeds around the world. C. It's will move. Notice the tense. Always pay attention to grammar of questions, students. Always pay attention to that. All right, there's your answers, everybody. How did you do? What did you get out of 40? So I know some of you are only here today, but some of you were here last week, and you were in last week's listening class. So add up your totals. How did you do? Out of 40. Boom. Mr. Ryan says 36. Now, students, again, on the website, you have a score calculator. So if you go ahelp.com/score calculator, I believe that's what it is there. Yep. This is the URL. You can check out your score. So like Mr. Ryan said, he got 36. It's a band 8. Dewey says 31. It's a band 7. Fatima says, I did not get 39. Had you gotten 39, it'd be a band 9. Okay. Anna says 23. Anna, that's a band 6 for 23. Okay. And then you can check your reading score too if you did the reading section. So you got 28. It's a 6.5. Okay. All right. That's where you can check your scores. And you can also join the full course right out of that score calculator if you don't have it. Okay. Students, do you have any questions about the listening section? So any questions? About IELTS listening? Is there something that you're curious about, something that you're not sure of, something that you're like, oh, I've never seen that before, or do we really get questions that difficult? Okay, good. So Single and Savvy says, what should one do if in between you get lost, considering you can only hear once? Yeah, very good question. Okay, so if you lose your place in the questions, search for names and numbers that help you position. Okay, it's a very good question, Single and Savvy. So let's say that like here, we're up here and you're lost. You're like, oh, what's happening? Which of these roads? So I pick a number like 75,000 kilometers. And I go, okay, I'm listening for that. And I'm listening for Roman. Okay, so just in case this is already gone, it shouldn't be. You should be able to catch that. But you're listening for names like Roman and 75,000. And as soon as you catch one of those, you're like, okay, we're on this question. We're doing this. Okay, so names, specific words. Sometimes you'll have like quotations like this, let's say. If you have those quotations, that helps too. That means the speaker is going to say exactly that. So you look for those quotations, or you look for name and number. That's how you position. Okay, Single and Savvy? Got it? That was a good question. Okay. Fatima says, I get distracted. It's hard for me to look at questions simultaneously. I get distracted. Okay, Fatima, what is the trick for that? Anybody know? Some of you who are in these classes for longer, you probably know some of these answers. So what can I do to stay focused? This is called active listening. Okay. Anybody who are in these classes regularly, you'll probably know what I'm going to say. Exactly, said Greta. Visualize, include yourself in this audio. Okay, so what you should be seeing, Fatima, and as soon as you hear roads, like, okay, we're going to have this lecture on roads. So now we have Fatima. She's looking beautiful with her long hair. And Fatima is walking on a road. And now Fatima is riding a bicycle on the road. Still with her very beautiful hair. Just getting a little crazier from the wind. Okay. But she's riding her bike on the road with a pedal. And she's holding onto the handlebars. There. And now Fatima is getting really excited, and her hair's getting super wild. Why? Because, of course, she is now racing a go-kart. On the road. Okay. So you're visualizing. Here you're on ancient roads with animals. Here you're on modern roads. And here you're on roads in the future. Space roads. Okay, so that's what you're doing. Okay. Fatima says, I'll never forget that. Especially once the hair's getting all crazy. Okay, so visualize. You have to stay interested. IELTS, you're paying a lot of money. Don't start to get bored and distracted and zone out during the test. You're there to do a great job, get good sleep, wake up early, get some good food in you, get some energy, go there and visualize. As soon as you hear a word, start to imagine it, picture it, put yourself there. Take action, okay? Okay, students, that was fantastic. I hope you really enjoyed this class. And again, just remember, premium students, you've got classes coming up on Thursday and Friday as well. YouTube students, you've got a speaking class tomorrow. We'll practice together through Zoom. I'll combine Zoom with YouTube so you get a chance to talk to me. Premium students, I sent your links. You have them. Okay. Check them in your inbox. If you don't have them, send me an email. I'll send them to you. Okay. I see some congrats for Akash. Yeah, Akash, 7.5. Akash, send me a testimonial. That's an awesome band score. You're super welcome. Okay. All right. Students, great job today. I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you to our members. Thank you to Carolina for moderating. You're all awesome. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I wish you a great day. Much love to all of you wherever you are in the world. Stay positive, stay true, and see you tomorrow. Bye for now.